All right, I believe we are now recording and live streaming for part 5 of the Peace Wave. So the floor is over to the organizers for this session. Please, Raza, go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everyone. It's indeed a pleasure to coordinate this part of the 24-hour Peace Wave. My name is Radha Khan. I am the Executive Director of Sustainable Peace and Development Organization, and I'm also one of the board members of the International Peace Bureau. So this session is focused on more on South Asia and Central Asia, but we will be more focusing on South Asia. So if you look at the agenda and if you look at the theme of the Peace Wave, uh, basically it is a 24-hour session which is taking place all over the world. So there is a certain time allocated to each region. So we will be having 2 hours per our region. Basically, the main theme of the Peace Wave 2024 is no to militarization and yes to cooperation. But for this particular year, the theme is more focused on nuclear disarmament, and this year marks 80 years since the atomic bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Ladies and gentlemen, if we look at the world has become more polarized. There are conflicts all over the world, conflict and war. We are seeing the war in Ukraine, in Gaza. Then there was the Israel-Iran conflict, then India-Pakistan, and there are so many other conflicts taking place all over the world. And if we look at, the military expenditures, so we can see that in the SIPRI report. So the military expenditure have rose to $2,718 billion in 2024, which is around $2.7 trillion, meaning that the spending has increased every year for a full decade, going up to 37% between 2015 and 2024. This is actually the 9.4% increase in 2024, which was the steepest year to year since at least 1988. So just to give you an estimate that if we reduce a very small portion of these military expenditure, even 10% or even less than 10%, through that we can eliminate hunger from the world. We can greatly reduce poverty and hunger. So a large portion of the funding is going to militarization and weapons rather than building peace, climate justice, and other sustainable and to achieve other sustainable development goals. Uh, if we see around the world, violent voices are becoming more and more visible, whereas peace voices are dormant, but they are actually more. If we so this peace wave actually is a kind of platform where our peace voices can be heard all over the world. And we encourage our participants who are listening to us, who are participating in these events, to raise your voice toward a more peaceful world, toward a more harmonized world, and through your writings, through your activism, and through your social actions. Coming to this region of the world, South Asia is a region which is very diverse in cultures and in languages and in many other ways. If you look at the geography of this region, it is important in many aspects. Like if you see, we have the tallest peaks in the world, like the Mount Everest, the K2, and among other, like there are almost 7 to 8 tallest peaks in the world. And then we have the largest glacier mass in Himalaya, Karakoram, and other these mountain ranges. So it have a very important significance in terms of climate change. And in between these cultures, then you can see the largest deserts, the sea, and in between these mountains and the sea, a very diverse culture exists, comprising of so many cultures, so many traditions, and so many languages. But unfortunately, this very beautiful culture has always been exposed to conflicts, exposed to violence, and it is one of the regions which is the most densely populated, but at the same time, the most poorest nations in the world. So for that reason, we always say disarmament for sustainable development. So instead of investing in weapons and other forms of wars, states should invest in reducing poverty and to achieve sustainable development goals. Mistrust is so much high at the state level that that it has reached to a level where the leaders do not believe each other. Apart from that, there are increasing conflicts going on internally. If you see the countries like, look at Afghanistan, Afghanistan had remained in war for almost 40 years. And still, if you see, there is a Taliban government, which is even the whole world has not recognized their government. Even women have no access to education. And after 40 years of war, again, the Taliban are in power. If you look at Pakistan, we are passing through so many internal conflicts. This cross-border terrorism is taking place, and then it is happening in other countries of the region. Uh, Unfortunately, we have seen again an escalation of tension between India and Pakistan, uh, the two nuclear states, which I don't want to go into details, but we have seen that how quickly that escalation started. Then it was supposed to go into a full-fledged war, and then nobody knew that what would be the impacts of that. But thanks God that it finished quickly, and we hope that the leadership of both the countries will think wisely, that war never give stability. War never gives prosperity to the people. It is the peace which which the people of both the countries want. So we have designated, we have designed actually this session in a variety of way. I was I was trying to encourage participants from the region to share their videos. Unfortunately, I was unable to get much of the videos, so I requested my youth participants to come up with what is relevant to the to the theme of this peace wave. So we have a variety of videos, messages, and then we have some very good speakers. There will be a panel discussion. So I will later on introduce our panel to you. But I hope the participants listening to us or watching us would find that particular panel discussion very important, specifically in the context of the Peace Wave 2024. So to start with, further proceedings, I will first, with the permission of Balkrishna, I asked my youth to develop like a very small uh, video clip of Dr. Balkrishna's institute. So I will be going to show that to you that Dr. Balkrishna has been doing a lot of work in India related to landmines, cluster munitions, nuclear disarmament, and specifically there is a campaign which calls "No More Hiroshima" and "No More Nagasaki." So I'm going to show that video to you. Uh, can you just a minute. Can you see the screen?
Oh, no, we cannot see the screen.
Just a minute. So let me see. I Let me see it again. Can you see it now?
Yeah, we can. Now we can see. We can see.
Okay. So this was, can you see me?
Yes, Raza, we can see you, but you can close the caption if you want, the sharing if you want.
Okay, let me see. There is security participant. I
Yeah, you should have stop sharing on the bottom.
Okay. Let me. There is another video, so I would like to.
Okay, and
Okay.
Yes, when you share the second video, you can enable also the sound, so we can also hear.
So you cannot, you didn't hear the song.
No, not in the first one.
Okay, okay. I will try again. So this
Yeah.
was basically Balkrishna. He will be participating in the panel discussion. So he will talk more about the work in India. So that was actually the work in India specifically related to nuclear disarmament. Their work against landmines and cluster munition. So he will talk more about that in the panel discussion. Now I'm going to share another video. I hope know all that this north side of Pakistan is very much prone to disasters, especially natural disasters. So there were recent floods in which there were you might have seen in the media reports that even a family was swept away. They were taking a breakfast, and then all of a sudden the floods came. So there were actually devastating impacts of floods on local communities. As I have already explained to you, that this area is full of mountains, glaciers, lakes, but unfortunately, the local communities are suffering due to sudden climatic conditions. So we are implementing a project which is called youth-led climate action project. So our youth from their particular area, it is from north of Pakistan, Swat, they have developed a video specifically for this session. So I am going to show that to the participants.
We still don't hear the audio, but I can also try from my end if you prefer to share.
Yes, because there is no.
Yes. 1 second.
Okay.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ayub Badshah and I am Pakistan climate champion. As a volunteer with SPEDO, we are working for climate change. My message regarding climate justice and peace is securing climate justice means upholding human rights and equity, recognizing that these least responsible for climate change are often the most effective. True peace can only be achieved when justice is at the heart of our climate action.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Waqar. I'm an engineer and a volunteer for SPEDO. I live in a place called Sawat, which has been devastated by climate change for the last 2 decades. I've been a part of SPEDO's Active Citizen program since 2021, in which me and other volunteers of SPEDO conducted awareness campaigns all over Sawat to educate people about the dangers of climate change. The pursuit of climate justice is a call for peace and survival. By protecting the rights of the vulnerable, we build resilient communities and prevent future conflicts.
Hi, this is Miyasif Khan. Being a youth volunteer with SPEDO, I have received a Climate Champion Award 2025. My message regarding climate justice and peace is not environmental, but the foundation of global peace. When we address the root causes of climate inequality, so we are restricted to the race conflict and displacement by framing more sustainable and harmonious world. Thank you.
So thank you so much once again. So that it was just some glimpses of the impacts of climate change on the north side of Pakistan. And I have already explained to you that even 2 weeks ago, this huge flood swept away buildings, families, infrastructure, and you saw some of the clips in this video. So we are running this campaign for the last almost 3 years, and still our youth is active in that part of the world. So just to give you an understanding of how this climate change is affecting the lives and livelihoods in Pakistan, not only in Pakistan but in that whole region. Uh, I would also request again, Emily, to you that we have our next video, which is a very short, just 1 minute video from Nawal Amjad. Nawal Amjad is also one of our speakers in the next panel discussion, but she has a 1 minute message. Nawal is basically a change maker in youth empowerment and sustainable development goals. So I would request you if you can play that. This is the next, number 3. Yes.
Greetings, everyone, no matter where you're watching me in the world. Are you also sick and tired of the culture of war? Do you also want to replace it with a culture of peace? Well, Professor David Adams embarked upon this journey when he joined UNESCO in the year 1992 to replace its traditional military peacekeeping program with a culture of peace program. He was, in fact, the pioneer director for the UNESCO's Year of Peace in the year 2000. He thereafter also introduced and disseminated a peace manifesto that received 75 million global signatures. 25 years after, with the world brimming with a culture of war more than ever before, if you also intend to be a part of the movements to say yes to peace and activate peace, then click on the link of activatingpeace.org in our caption and get multiple options to be a part of this global campaign. You can also become a partner with us by joining in our manifesto partnership form, whose link is also in the description.
So thank you, Nawal, and thank you so much once again. So these were some of the videos and messages. So our next session is a panel discussion. We are waiting for one of our panelists to join, but in case of any difficulties, so we will start the panel discussion. As I have already mentioned, we have so nice and tremendous speakers from very, very diverse backgrounds. We have speakers from Sri Lanka. There are, other speakers from Pakistan. We have Nurul Isha bint Ishaq from RTT. So I will, so the format of basically this panel discussion would be is that I will introduce the speakers one by one, and then I would request them to speak. And then once they finish their speaking, so then I will introduce another speaker to talk about more specifically about the Peace Wave 2025, about their work which they are doing, and what they think of nuclear disarmament and promoting sustainable peace in our part of the region. So my first speaker is Nawal Amjad. Nawal Amjad is a change maker in youth empowerment and sustainable development goals, known for her thought leadership in authentic leadership and education. She is a youth ambassador for UNDP Pakistan, a member of its Youth Advisory Council, and a fellow for the Youth Empowerment and Climate Action Platform by UNDP Bangkok, UNICEF, and UNFCCC. In 2022, she was named one of the UNESCO's 50 global youth leaders pioneering social entrepreneurship in community schools to promote global citizenship, sustainability, and peace. In 2024, she co-established a national capacity building network for community organizations with UNFPA and was selected among UNESCO's 25 regional youth leaders for South Asia to contribute to the region's first youth declaration on education. She is currently the permanent youth advisor for Activating Peace Manifesto 2025, a fellow with IOEUCL and Oxford Academic Leaders in Innovation Forum, part of Pakistan's first nationwide ESD movement in schools and training with UN Women AI schools for change makers. So Nawal, you have the floor and feel free to share your views the way you want. So over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Raza. I'm very, very honored and humbled to be a part of this esteemed panel and to be a part of this very watershed moment, because in a world which is increasingly complex to govern, increasingly complex and difficult to understand, it's very difficult to bring people on a coexistent path. And I would like to really, really appreciate, commemorate, and recognize the efforts of International Peace Bureau, of World Beyond War, and of course for SPADO, the South Peace and Development Organization, to have come together for this, all the wonderful panelists from the region to have come together for this watershed movement. And to be honest, I just want to say that when I was looking at the track record and the work, this towering work that all of these three organizations that I also particularly named were doing, what I have seen is, there's one common theme, and that is about building a culture of peace, promoting a culture of peace, basically trying to bind people in a community of global citizenship from an internationalized community perspective of the traditional libertarian or the liberal institutional perspective. We are now living in a world which is far more aligned, is aligning and resonant with the critical school of international relations, if some of us are familiar with international relations school of thoughts or perspectives. Because if we look at the critical school sub-umbrellas or sub-perspective or schools of thought, we look at post-structuralism, we look at feminism, we look at post-colonialism, basically the critical paradigms of looking at development, of looking at peace building, of looking at nation building, of looking at global citizenship, and of actually looking at and analyzing how the world is working. So we would recognize that we are no longer working by the traditional rules of the game. The rules of the game are very different. Yes, we do have a looming nuclear war threat that's hanging over us as a sword. We did see that very recently in the India-Pakistan combat, and so in the Iran-Israel combat as well. It was a very common theme when it comes to both the wars respectively. However, I would like to give my culminating remarks for now by saying that unfortunately we are living in a world where when IPP started working, it started working, even organizations like World Beyond War and others. They wanted to build a world where they wanted to bring discourse, deliberations, interventions, discussions, actions, counteracting and countering to primarily a sort of war stage in which dominant powers were trying to dominate and exert and assert their dominant power, which was all about, quote unquote, if I may use the liberty of saying it, being candid about it, that certain powers wanted to act like bullies on the international stage. And to be able to counter that, we built a peace wave, we built a culture of peace. We all started investing in peace building on civil society, subnational, indigenous, organizational, and community grassroots levels. However, today we unfortunately live in a world where that power domination, that security dilemma, very inherent to the anarchic international system, has become all the more relevant, particularly in the context of the two war sort of theatrics that we've just been exposed to, whether that was Iran and Israel or whether that was Pakistan and India. And unfortunately, we are no longer living in a very oversimplified world of nuclear threats, as well as building or prospering or fostering a culture of peace, where it's no longer about exerting your power. It's also about being able to acquire or being able to assert sufficient power to be able to survive. And that's where, when survival is being used, or survival of the fittest is being used as a metaphor for states to keep at fighting in this very mad nuclear war, this very dangerous nuclear war for which I think we do not have apt adjectives, that's where I think we really need to raise eyebrows. That's where the international community needs to raise eyebrows. And I'm so happy and humbled and thankful that we have conversations and discourses like this. We have virtual ways of coming together like this, where we build a global epistemic community, where we start to own the world together, and where we have critical engagements, reflections, and thinking points that we can exchange. Thank you.
Thank you, Nawal. I will also come back to you again. I will try to make it more like informal, more like engaging, even encouraging participants to, if they have comments, if they have any questions. So it will be more like this panel will be more like interactive in nature. So thank you so much for you that you very well explained this culture of peace. I will come back to you again for also your final remarks. So thank you once again. My next speaker is Balkrishna. Balkrishna Karve, Dr. Balkrishna Karve is the president of the Indian Institute for Peace and Disarmament and Environmental Protection. He is based in Nagpur, India. He is leading peace and environmental kind of education programs, known for his work in nuclear disarmament, education, landmines, cluster munitions, and he has been very active in advocacy, public awareness campaigns, such as No More Hiroshima and No More Nagasaki. He has been conducting peace exhibition across India. Dr. Karve actively promotes human rights and environmental education in schools and engages in global forums to advance peace, sustainability, and humanitarian causes. And I know Dr. Balkrishna for almost more than 20 years. He has, I think you saw his pictures that he was young. He is still young, he was so much young when you saw, the video which I displayed in the beginning. So he had been working in India for peace and disarmament for almost more than 2 decades. So thank you so much, Dr. Balkrishna, for taking your time to participate in this 2025 Peace Wave. And now the floor is over to you.
Thank you, Raza. Our institute, Indian Institute for Peace, Disarmament and Environmental Protection, is working on various aspects of the peace and disarmament. But I like to touch this time regarding nuclear weapon-free world, because this is a cry of the hour. In South Asia, India and Pakistan possesses nuclear weapons, and arms race between these two countries is going on. India possesses near about 140 and Pakistan possesses near about 150 nuclear weapons. There are many complex reasons for present nuclear arms race in South Asia. There is mistrust, misunderstanding, and animosity between nuclear weapon countries in South Asia. Any fanatic military officer or political leader may start nuclear war. The terrorist group in around the world may possess and control the nuclear weapons, which will be dangerous to whole world. By possessing nuclear weapons, we could not solve our problem. The vehicle of change is ultimately the people. The threat of use of missiles by either India or Pakistan is terrifying because the distance between launch sites and target is so short, there would be no time to determine whether an incoming missile was carrying nuclear weapons or ordinary weapons. It takes only 8 to 10 minutes for a missile to reach its target, and it's only 3 minutes to decide the missile is carrying nuclear weapons, threats or conventional weapons, and due to misunderstanding, nuclear war may start. In November 2013, International Physician for Prevention of Nuclear War, a USA-based Physician for Social Responsibility, released the report, Nuclear Famine for 2 billion people at risk. The use of just 150 nuclear weapons over a city like Mumbai and Karachi caused up to 60,000 deaths instantly, and 1,000 will be killed in afterwards. If limited nuclear conflict in South Asia start, it results nuclear famine will cause global mass starvation. 1 billion will die due to starvation. A nuclear ozone hole, the global cancer burden of a regional nuclear war. Nuclear winter, the Earth's life-sustaining ecosystem remain at end. The casualties of nuclear war. Even a modest sudden decline in agricultural production would trigger significant increases in the prices for basic foods and bordering in a global scale, both of which would make food inaccessible to poor people in South Asia and much of the world. World create immense potential for war and civil conflict. Famine on this scale would also lead to major epidemic of infectious diseases. People of India and Pakistan, they are not aware of the horrible impact of the nuclear weapons. They suppose the nuclear bomb is just like another armament, another weapon. Public education and awareness, especially in India, Pakistan, is cry of the hour. People have to be informed and educated that power does not come from nuclear capabilities and weapons of mass destruction, but from economic growth. People in South Asia, especially in India and Pakistan, are not aware of the immediate and long-range effects of the nuclear weapons. It's our experience. When we arranged the No More Hiroshima, No More Nagasaki peace exhibition and depicted or shown the Hiroshima Nagasaki bombing photos to the people, whosoever will saw the photos, they will say, no, Baba, there should be no nuclear war. So public education awareness is the cry of the hour in South Asia, around the world also. Need to educate people about the differences in conventional bomb and nuclear weapons is must. Prevention is the only, nobody will be victorious in the nuclear war. I'm only talking of the South Asia limited nuclear war. And if there will be whole world like USA, Russia, other country will, then it will be havoc. All humanity will be collapse. Nuclear famine, prevention is the only care. Nuclear famine, 2 billion people at risk. International Physician for Prevention of Nuclear War, in their report, they said, in the limited nuclear war between the countries, 2 billion people at risk, global impact of a limited nuclear war on agriculture, food supplies, and human nutrition explains how even the relatively small nuclear weapons of countries such as India and Pakistan would cause long-range global damage to the Earth's ecosystem. Limited nuclear conflict involving in the use of 100 Hiroshima-sized nuclear bombs, but now we have the more powerful bombs than the Hiroshima bomb. They're about 100 times more powerful than the Hiroshima nuclear bombs. So 100 Hiroshima-type bombs would have global implications with significant cooling of Earth's surface and decreased precipitation in many parts of the world. Increase in food prices would make food inaccessible to hundreds of millions of the people around the world, especially in South Asia, Africa, in all poor countries. If agriculture markets continue to function normally, 215 people would be added to the roles of the malnutrition over the countries of the world. Significant agriculture shortfall over an extended period would almost certainly lead to panic and bordering as an international scale. Further education is needed. The total number of people threatened by nuclear war induced famine could be well over 2 billion. 2 billion people around the world, they will famine in our limited nuclear war. Global famine that would follow a regional nuclear war, it seems reasonable to postulate a total global death toll in the range of 1 billion from starvation alone. By starvation alone, 1 billion people will be affected. A famine on this scale would also lead to major epidemics of infectious diseases and would create immense potential for war and civil conflict. Countries which does not possess nuclear weapons and their cities are not target, think that nuclear war is a remote problem for them. So this is not the case. Nuclear war anywhere in world would have devastating effect for all of us. Even a modest sudden decline in agricultural production would trigger significant increases in the prices for the basic foods and bordering on a global scale, both of which would make food inaccessible to poor people in much of the world. Regional nuclear war between India and Pakistan would spark unprecedented global cooling and reduce rainfall for a year, a period of abnormal cold and darkness predicted to follow a nuclear war caused by the layer of smoke and dust in the atmosphere blocking the sun rays. 70% of the sun's light would be blocked. As a result of this cooling, there would be increases in the growing season. This decrease might completely eliminate crops that have insufficient time to reach maturity. Food inaccessible to the poor in South. The decline is available food would be exaggerated by increases in the food prices, which would make food inaccessible to hundreds of millions of the world's poorest, even if agriculture markets continue to function normally. Current grain stocks would not provide any significant reserve in the event of a sharp decline in global production. We have to inform the people of India and Pakistan that peace is more than merely absence of war. Feeling secure means having access to amenities which most people in underdeveloped and developing countries is lacking, including people of India and Pakistan. So this is the main. What is the method for this? What we can do? Public education and awareness is a cry of the hour. I met many diplomats, many political leaders, even educated people, even professors, doctors. They are not aware of the horrible impact of the nuclear weapons. We have to educate the people, public education and awareness all over the world, especially India and Pakistan. So this is the way public education awareness. They will not say that there should be nuclear war between India and Pakistan. So thank you very much. My last request all over the world that start the public education awareness, and public pressure will force our political leaders, our leaders to think on that line. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Balkrishna, for your thoughtful remarks, keeping in view your experience and the work which you have been doing in India and in the region to promote peace, harmony, and especially disarmament. So that is much appreciated. And I agree with you that actually people don't understand the devastating impacts of nuclear weapons. So both countries, India and Pakistan, being nuclear states, should be very much responsible. We should build trust, mutual cooperation, and understanding between the two countries. And I hope there is a role which civil society organizations, youth, academic institutions can play to build their trust and mutual understanding. I'm once again thankful to you for your remarks, and particularly the most important work which you are doing related to no more Hiroshima and no more Nagasaki. And you have been promoting that public awareness and education throughout India and in the region. So thank you once again. I would request you to remain with us if there is any questions, if there are any comments, and I will also take your final remarks. So our next speaker is Vidya. Vidya is our friend, our colleague, a champion of disarmament in Sri Lanka. He is the coordinator for the Forum on Disarmament and Development, which is called FFD in Sri Lanka. Basically, the Forum for Disarmament and Development is a research and advocacy group that focuses on human security, disarmament, and protecting the natural environment. He currently serves as a country researcher for the Landmine and Cluster Munition Monitor Report, and he has attended the University of Colombo and received his BBA in International Business Management from Northwood University. So, Vidya, you have the floor.
I think we may be having some technical difficulties. I see that Vidya is unmuted, but I cannot hear any sound coming from Vidya. Could you please look at your audio settings and just make sure that everything is working from your end?
I can hear you. I can hear you all.
Yes,
hello.
We can hear you.
Okay. Now we can hear you, yes.
Okay, good. Thank you very much, IPB and Sarpado, organizing this timely, important discussion. Actually, recent tension between India and Pakistan and also Israel and um, Iran. We were thinking that if there are any nuclear attacks, if that occurred, that is end of humanity in the 21st century. So we today onwards we remembering Hiroshima and Nagasaki 80th anniversary. So that should not repeat it again in future. So there are 9 nuclear states. So country like Sri Lanka, if there's any nuclear attack between India and Pakistan, we were in the receiving end. We are nearly 23 million population, not only nuclear attack, but also nuclear uh, um, uh, power plants in south tip of Chennai, Kundalmal, nuclear power plant. There was a issue with that particular power plant reactor. So they were not updated. India not updating anything with regard to the nuclear power plants. So what we see that both countries not party to the UN any of these nuclear related treaties. When it's come to France and UK, they are party to the both NPT, Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, and the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty. Both countries follow in the instruction given by the International Atomic Agency, but not India and Pakistan. Same with North Korea, Israel, China, Russia, and also the United States. So we always looked at the legality of these weapons. I should mention there are 2 Sri Lankan citizens, they work on nuclear disarmament internationally. One, the late Judge C.J. Veeramantri, he was the deputy chair of the International Court of Justice. He happens to be the person that time the United Nations in 1995 asked for a legality of using nuclear weapon, and then Judge Veeramantri's remarks were the he opinion that use of threat of nuclear weapon is illegal in any circumstances whatsoever. So that still remain in that. I think now we have a new treaty called TPNW, Total Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. So that is very much relevant for today's subject. So completely abolishing of nuclear weapons. I think Balakrishna, he pointed out, A to Z, I think most of the things, consequences of use of nuclear weapons. So not only India and Pakistan will suffer, but entire region will suffer, particularly country like Sri Lanka. Now we concerned about the nuclear power plant in south of India. If something goes wrong, entire northern and the western province, a neighborhood will disappear. So this is the threat we received from this particular nuclear power plant in India. So we are up to now, we are happy that the both countries, it's operated by the government, not any non-state party. If it is fall under non-state party, a nuclear weapon or a nuclear power plant, we have a high risk. That's why the country like India and Pakistan, we always having political turmoil, countries tension. We should look for a, not the weapon, peaceful, promoting peace. So when it's come to power generation, we have enough, solar, renewable energy sources. So we can go for a solar energy sources. And the country like India and Pakistan spending billions of US dollars on developing such weapons, nuclear weapon. They should have spent money on their health and education. There are millions of people without access to food, water, shelter, education and proper health. So we want both countries take those things a high priority. And also civil society, we are very much thankful to both of you from Sapado and Dr. Balkrishna taking this civil society initiative. We want to see more and more civil society organization taking this matter up always in the media and to the politician and the decision makers as well. So we hope that South Asian region should be peaceful. So climatic action is very much relevant for today's context. Country like Sri Lanka, we suffer heavily time to time. You may remember that we suffered due to tsunami some years ago. And again, you know, we are having droughts. Now we are experiencing droughts in Colombo as well, and severe floods. So it's both topics are relevant, very much relevant for the entire Asian region. So I'm thankful, and we are supportive any initiatives by civil society in India and Pakistan on the matter, because we are not, Sri Lanka not a nuclear state. There is a discussion recently that Sri Lanka should try out nuclear power. So we are vehemently rejecting that proposal. Is still at the discussion stage. So because it's a high risk and high investment. So Sri Lanka is not in a position to invest billions of dollars for these long-term projects like nuclear power plants. So we had to borrow money from the international community at high interest rate, and we are not in a position to pay them back in a 10 years time or 20 years time, because we have other priorities in the country. So thank you very much. I will join at the last stage of the conference. Thank you, Rasa.
Okay, thank you, Vidya, for your remarks. And specifically, you mentioned about nuclear disarmament in the region. And specifically, we really appreciate your work in Sri Lanka. And I think Sri Lanka can also play a very important role to build trust in the regional level. Like Sri Lanka is a country which has always played a very significant and important role to bridge the gaps, and companions like you could be really helpful to mobilize civil society and academic institutions in this part of the world. So please remain with us if there are any questions or comments, and we will be also hearing your final remarks in the next session. So thank you once again. So my next speaker is Dr. Atiqur Rahman. So Dr. Atiqur Rahman is assistant professor in the Department of International Relations at the National University of Modern Languages in Islamabad. He has earned his PhD from Qaidam University in 2019. He is based in Islamabad. Dr. Rahman is a distinguished researcher, scholar, and has also contributed his intellectual insights at numerous national and international academic forums. His professional engagement include collaboration with the United Nations Alliance of Civilizations, Istanbul, Social Science, Bahab, Kathmandu, Center for Strategic Studies, Baku, International Center for Black Sea Studies, Athens, and the NATO International School of Azerbaijan. Dr. Rahman is a writer and regularly publishes his scholarly work in reputable research journals and policy magazines. So, Dr. Atiqur Rahman, you have the floor. Can you hear us, Dr. Atiq? Can you unmute Dr. Atiq? He is muted. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. He should be able to
Yes,
unmute.
yes.
We were struggling
Yes, I can.
which screen was
You
correct.
can, yes, you can also open your camera, Dr. Atiq,
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
wish.
thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for inviting me. I was thinking that when I started my efforts from the Shadows platform for the peace, and 2 decades before, and I appreciate the Shadows' work from the multiple dimensions for the promotion of peace. And presently, I'm invited to express my views on the disarmament and its role in contributing peace. Um, I appreciated my Indian and the Sri Lankan fellows about their conversation on the disarmament and its relevance with the South Asia. And then, at the broader perspective, it's inseparable association with the great power politics. But I was thinking that the one question always confused me, who will bell the cat? That's my today presentation or today's conversation theme. Who will bell the cat? I mean, who is going to take the initiative? No one. I mean, in informal policy dialogue, the informal research conversation, academic debates, we always advocate the theme of disarmament. But unfortunately, in the real world, there the people are reluctant to accept it as a rational goal or a rational way to stand in the world. I mean, definitely there's the security dilemma and the mistrust which prevails, and the same is the situation with South Asia, where the two great powers, the regional great powers, they are having the high rate of their mistrust. So that's why they are reluctant to accept the themes of disarmament. Uh, and I must say, we need to emphasize South Asia more, especially after witnessing the recent crisis, when the two states' strategic postures challenged or undermined the existing literature on the nuclear politics. I mean, the both states, they were involved in a very brief and a very horrible armed conflict under the nuclear shadow. And thanks to God, the issue resolved, ceasefire implemented. But on the other hand, the future of South Asia now is very alarming. It is needing the concentration, the serious impartial concentration of the great powers. So, because while talking about South Asian domestic security issues and the strategic postures of the two nuclear powers, we cannot separate the South Asian regional politics from the global politics or the international politics. Like the birth of South Asia was under the shadow, the birth of decolonized South Asia was under the shadows of the Cold War's nuclear politics. Then it impacted, it left worse impact on the South Asian security environment. Then eventually the nuclear race touched the South Asian region. Then the both countries, after India, Pakistan was compelled to take the initiative. The both countries, they were having the different justifications. Like Indian, sometime the Indian literature advocates the reason for this nuclearization belongs to security. Sometimes they say it's a status driven. Pakistan is also heavy security. But on the other hand, the nuclear weapons arrived in South Asia. So the situation is very much difficult. So the both states, India and Pakistan, they are looking toward the great powers. So the P5, I mean, that's the basic reason why the international non-proliferation regime and the intergovernmental other organizations are ineffective in bringing the South Asian nuclear states into their jurisdiction, because the trends arriving from the great powers, basically they are leading the two South Asian neighbors towards a different dimension away from the disarmament. So I think in this way, the greater responsibility lies on the great powers and the intergovernmental mechanism of the international community. Like I'm referring toward the International Non-Proliferation Treaty (NPT). There are a number of arguments criticizing the NPT status because it's one of the three main leading pillars explains the implementation of the disarmament, but that is very much in the theoretical and the documentary part of the treaty. But unfortunately, the practical implementation is not very much visible, or we are not getting any signals or any symptom of the great powers that they are going toward completely implementing the NPT or solving its three pillars. So in this way, the intergovernmental institutions are required. They are very accurately mentioned the TPNW, that's a new treaty. But I must say that is the addition in the existing non-applicable efforts of the disarmament. So the history of the world politics is, or especially the nuclear politics, is full of the disarmament, different initiatives introduced by states at the unilateral level, bilateral level, and from the different multilateral platforms. But unfortunately, their practical implementation, who is going to take the initiative? Who is going to encourage the other states to follow the steps? No doubt there are some countries like South Africa and couple of other countries. They have taken the initiative, but their initiatives are not promoted positively and advocated by the great powers. And when we talk about the South Asian regional environment, so the extension of the international non-proliferation regime in the form of the NPT towards South Asia, basically, it would be practical with the support of the great powers. When the great powers will settle, they will set any pattern or the trend because they are the trend setter. Then automatically the South Asian politics will follow those trends because the history of the South Asian politics suggested that we cannot eliminate the inseparable interconnectedness between South Asian politics, regional politics, and the international power politics. So its growth is always, especially its strategic growth is always under the shadow of the great power politics. So on the other hand, we have another example of the nuclear weapons-free zones. Yes, that is the appreciable development of the international community. The three nuclear weapons-free zones where the states refuse to go towards the nuclearization or the acquisition of the nuclear weapons. And Pakistan was the first in South Asia who introduced or presented a proposal in the United Nations to implement a free zone regional environment in South Asia. But unfortunately, that proposal was remained ineffective due to the lack of substantial support from South Asia. So Pakistan has played its role, and now the responsibility lies on the other states and the support of the great powers. So we must say that regarding great powers' role, the South Asian environment is very much important now. After the Pelagam crisis, we need to take some serious initiatives because the repetition of any other crisis between two nuclear powers, it will be never like the Pelagam one. So definitely that will cause more serious complications in the region. So the rational and the impartial reaction of the international community is required beyond their strategic collaboration, beyond their economic interest in South Asia. Because once that comes, then disarmament becomes really a visionary idea or a utopian idea or something which is very much active in documents, but not having the practical relevance with the actual politics. So the great powers role in this way, I must say the United States role is appreciable regarding South Asian regional crises like the Pelagam crisis. We have witnessed that the active role and the appreciable involvement of the United Nations prevented that clash going into the serious direction. So the further commitment we need not from the only from the United States but beyond Washington, the advocates of disarmament from around the globe, they are required to emphasize on South Asia. So in this way, we can rationalize pragmatically the vision of disarmament and its association with South Asia. And non-traditional approaches in this way will be helpful beyond the traditional proposed and the adopted proposals. So that was my very brief take on the disarmament and its relevance with South Asia. So if you have any question, you may raise after that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Atik, for your comments and your thoughts. I noted your point that who will who will ring the bell So that's quite
Yeah.
important. Yeah, and in that regard, as you already mentioned, we need more mediators. We need more peace
Yes.
builders. Peace builders like all surrounding us, youth, specifically can play a very important role. So I was looking at like a question for you that you can see in the chat. So perhaps you can
Yeah.
answer
Yeah. Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can answer that a bit later. There will be like a brief question answer session. So
Thank you.
you can see that in the chat. So coming to my next speaker is Nurul Ida Binte Ishaq. Nurul Ida is South and Southeast Asia coordinator for Reverse the Trend. It's called RTG initiative focus on raising awareness and mobilizing action against threats such as nuclear weapons, climate change, and social injustices. RTT engages youth, educators, and activists across South and Southeast Asia to educate for nuclear disarmament, climate justice, and sustainable development through workshops, webinars, and campaigns. It connects regional movements to global efforts, empowering young people to build peaceful, just, and sustainable societies while amplifying their voices in international disarmament and environmental forums. So, Nurul Izzah, you have the floor.
Good morning, afternoon, evening. Everyone here, depending on where you are joining us from across this incredible global peace wave today. And it is an immense privilege to be here today participating in the 4th annual Peace Wave 2025. My name is Iza. I think I am the only one who is not in the South Asia region for the speakers, for the panelists today. But I am very much honored to represent Reverse the Trend, South and Southeast Asia under the umbrella of Nuclear Age Peace Foundation. So for those who are unfamiliar, actually, NAPF is a non-profit organization founded in 1982 in Santa Barbara, California, USA. And they work to promote peace and a world free of nuclear weapons through education, advocacy, and youth empowerment. So my chapter, which is Reverse the Trend South and Southeast Asia, is the youth initiative under NAPF. But for now, we still haven't had any member from South Asia, only Southeast Asia, and I welcome everyone from this platform today to join us. It doesn't matter if you're not youth, it's okay. You can always join. It doesn't matter. We don't discriminate or what, okay? So I would say that this year's Peace Wave carries deep and historical emotional weight. Yeah, abolish nuclear weapons, reflecting on the 80th anniversary of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, never again. But when we speak of 80 years ago, it's easy for such a number to feel abstract. But let's try to put that into a perspective to truly grasp the passage of time since the last devastating event. So 80 years ago is like 960 months passing by and approximately like 29,200 days and astonishing like 2 point maybe 557 something a billion seconds that have passed by since the history of the bombs fell on Japan. So I would like to say that this is just not a number on a calendar for sure. It's a vast expanse of time during which humanity has had the chance to learn, to grow, to commit, to prevent such a tragedy to ever occur again. And I just want to say that this anniversary is not just a historical reflection, but it is a profound call to action for all of us here. So I come from Malaysia. So as a Malaysian, I often encounter like a perception that Malaysia is a nation that is not directly threatened by nuclear weapons. Indeed, geographically, we are not on the immediate front lines of existing nuclear threat, but yeah, we also don't live under the shadow of explicit nuclear threat. But I think this distance does not and must not translate into apathy. that the destructive potential of nuclear weapons knows no borders. Nuclear catastrophe anywhere is a catastrophe everywhere. So when we talk about the global nuclear threat, we, Malaysia and ASEAN, we cannot ignore South Asia, a region where India and Pakistan, both nuclear-armed states, remain locked in a long-standing rivalry. So, as someone from ASEAN, I may not live under the immediate shadow, as I told you before, as stated before, but I believe that we actually feel the shockwave. The tension within those two countries, whether over borders or political flare-ups, always carry the risk of escalation, and that escalation could be nuclear. So this is actually deeply worrying, not just for subcontinent, but for all of Asia, actually, including Southeast Asia. Because, yeah, nuclear war doesn't respect borders. Fallout, instability, humanitarian consequences will ripple far beyond the source. And it's not just about missiles, it's about the normalization of nuclear weapons as tools for deterrence or status, something we in ASEAN reject through our commitment to Southeast Asia Nuclear Weapon Free Zone or Bangkok Treaty. But then, I don't want to talk about, I may talk about the Bangkok Treaty, but I would also highlight to the panelists today, in this complex security environment, Malaysia approach is focused on cooperation and not militarization against each other with South Asia. Just this past February 19, right here in Kuala Lumpur, we hosted the 13th Malaysia-India Defense Cooperation Committee, MIDCOM meeting. This high-level dialogue saw both nations identify key areas to deepen the collaboration, and then another promoting dialogue and de-escalation, where Malaysia consistently advocates for restraint between India and Pakistan. Following the April 2025 Pahalgam attack, Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim of Malaysia publicly urged de-escalation, and this discussion on this dynamic were also part of the recent 58 ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting, underscoring our diplomatic efforts. And we also like to address the non-traditional threats. We cooperate on shared security concerns like maritime security, counter-terrorism. For instance, at the 58 AMM, Malaysia and Bangladesh agreed to full cooperation on recent terror allegations, showcasing our joint commitment. And as ASEAN chair, Malaysia leverage forum like ASEAN Regional Forum, which includes India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka. And Pakistan Deputy Prime Minister was just in Kuala Lumpur yesterday, July 11, for the 32nd ARF ministerial meeting. So these platforms that I have just mentioned actually build confidence and promote dialogue that reinforce the cooperation, not military build-up, but the pathway to build a lasting peace in our region of Asia actually. So if I may continue, I know previously it was part 4 where they also talk about ASEAN, but I will also like to mention a bit about Malaysia and the regional neighbors in ASEAN that have long recognized about this. We have the Bangkok Treaty on the Southeast Asia Nuclear Weapon Free Zone. We declared the collection rejection of nuclear weapons on our soil. It is a legally binding agreement for all 10 ASEAN member states, and I would say it is significant because it enacts a comprehensive ban, all 10 ASEAN legally bound not to develop, possess, station, transport, test, or use nuclear weapons within our region. And this includes environmental protection, including against dumping radioactive waste. And I would say this give a right to peaceful users of nuclear energy, but strictly subject to international safeguards. However, as the Bangkok Treaty is a protocol, this protocol is not signed, and it's remain a key challenge because it's not signed by the NWS. Okay. So I will say that this unsigned protocol remains the key challenge to all of us because I would say China and Russia have shown willingness to long-standing issue to this protocol, but the long-standing issues with other NWS still remain a key challenge to us in this protocol. So, but after all, it's a complex diplomatic hurdles, and as affirmed just days ago at the 58th ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting here in Kuala Lumpur, ASEAN said remains steadfast and actively engaged in technical reviews and discussion to bridge these differences. And ultimately, we try to secure the universe support of all nuclear weapon states for our zone. And you know, because Malaysia is ASEAN is a neutral country, and neutrality doesn't mean silence. It means standing firm against dangers of militarization and nuclear escalation, which I think important for South Asia implementation as well. So yeah, that's all from me, Minister Azza.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Nurul Izha, for your remarks, specifically about the role of youth and, Malaysia, being a neutral country in the region. Actually, youth is inspiration for all of us. You have the potential and a large, if we talk about South Asia, so South Asia is a region where youth population is, as compared to other regions, it's quite high as compared to other regions. So we encourage youth from South Asia to work with you. You inspire us. Your work is motivate us, and we look forward to keeping in touch with you. And thank you so much for your remarks in this session. So this was all about our speakers. So we have around 12 minutes to reflect on what we have said. There are a couple of questions. One question is from Dr. Balkrishna, and there is one question from Dr. Atiq. But I would request speakers, I will give the floor to the speaker one by one for about, what you could say, 3 minutes to reflect on what other speakers said and to share their concluding remarks, including answering the questions which you see in the chat. So just 3 minutes to each of the speaker. So over to you, Nawal.
First of all, I would really want to appreciate all this very rich discussion that we had, very multidimensional, very kaleidoscopic perspectives coming from all the fellow panelists. There was a particular question in the chat box by Mr. Jawad, if I'm not wrong, and he asked that how can, and I think in one wonderful IR-led perspective, it was already answered by Dr. Atiq, but I would also want to address that question where he basically asked that, with the military regimes in Pakistan and India not being very interested in cultivating a culture of peace, what can civil society organizations and youth do? And I think from there, I would like to capitalize on my presence here in the panel right now. We have just had a soft launch for Activating Peace, which is a organization pioneered by Professor David Adams, who actually created the Culture of Peace program in UNESCO and converted the military peacekeeping program into a Culture of Peace program back in the year 1992. And 25 years ago, he basically disseminated a peace manifesto on 6 pointers across the world, which he was able to gather 75 million signatures on. And today, we will be promoting the peace manifesto, which Raza Saab was kind enough to have played in the beginning as well, through which, and I've also shared the website link in the chat box, where at activatingpeace.org, through various global peacemakers, through various music videos, cultural interactions, and ways, logos even for that matter, we try to encourage a culture of peace cultivation, where the main message says, I'm sick and tired of the culture of war, and I give my support to the culture of peace, and I will keep spreading the message on social media until we all win. And this message has to be disseminated on your respective social media, even if that's WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, I mean, you name it, with your city and name, and that then emerges on the Google on the map of our website, so that we see that a lot of other people have joined hands in the culture of peace with us. And our Instagram page is also very active. So over there, we start to try to resonate messages using global peacemakers of various multifaceted perspectives and backgrounds. For example, Vandana Shiva, who's a feminist scholar in development, people from her to people like Mahatma Gandhi to people like Martin Luther King. So a lot of these people have worked to cultivate a culture of peace in their own ways. And I think people like Iza, for that matter, Nurul Iza and others, and like myself, who are trying to be at the front and center of youth, and even for that matter through SPEDO, the way Raza Shah Saab have been, he's been providing a breeding ground for the right peaceful environments. It's a very profound thing, which I actually got to know, that he's been providing peaceful environments for youth, particularly in the north of Pakistan, to cultivate a culture of peace. I honestly want to, besides, of course, being able to address Jawad Saab's question in the chat box, I want to culminate my discussion today by bringing some important thinking questions or thinking points for my rest of the panelists and also the participants of our session today. As of 27th May 2025, the Director for Middle East and North Africa, UNICEF, Mr. Edward Bing Bedar, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, said that about more than 50,000 children have been killed in Gaza. And if we look at the Second World War over there, in that about 38,000 children were killed. So unfortunately, when we try to oversimplify the nuclear disarmament regime around just the banning of the nuclear weapons and how horribly destructive and horrendous they can be, and how it's not necessarily relevant or restricted to two particular countries, like a quintessential arc rivalry between India, Pakistan, or for that matter, any other countries in the world, for that matter, even that's Iran or Israel. We also have to look into various other perspectives, that if we've not been able to prevent killings across the world, not that there is a binary comparison that I'm trying to draw, because the scale and scope and the depth of warfare is absolutely unfathomable, and it's incomparable if you compare a nuclear war to an otherwise ethnic cleansing or a live real-time genocide happening. But if the children are being killed exactly like that, or even more than that, then I don't think that we have to be very oversimplified with the way we theorize the nuclear regime. And there's one wonderful thing that the UN Secretary General just said in the recent BRIC summit in 2025, where he said that at a time when multilateralism is being undermined, let us remind the world that cooperation is humanity's greatest innovation. Even vis-a-vis the role of artificial intelligence, despite it being a very go-to token term and buzzword for people, he also said that we cannot have an AI club only, of handful of concentrated people. So with artificial intelligence becoming so privy to our daily lives, it's very important that when and he even ended up saying things like urgent reform of global institutions is supposed to be called upon, because international financial systems were designed for a bygone age world and a bygone system of power relations. So, the fact that we have a Secretary General of the current United Nations saying that, we have international financial institutions and organizations which are actually for a bygone era speaks volumes of how we actually need different institutions. And I think that different regime institutionalization, which also stems from the question that Dr. Jawad also put in the chat box, is very much at the disposal of the youth change makers like Nurul Iza, like myself, and of course the spear leaders or the spearheaders of providing that platform, like Mr. Raza Shah Saab, or for that matter, even for what Mr. Karvi has been doing through his wonderful work, and the kind of questions that Vidya raised from Sri Lanka, or even the academic metal through in terms of academic questions that Dr. Atikur Rahman has been raising. So I think one thing that I love to talk about generally is about Professor Peter Haas, who in 1992 talked about an epistemic community concept, where it was primarily created to perhaps question climate change. Do we have to have a scientific forum, quote unquote, for countering climate change or for a particular issue? But it's very interesting how we can use that concept to use it and apply it to epistemic community way of engaging and coming together for the whole world. I think the fact that today, even in this panel, we have so much diversity. We have disarmament practitioners, academicians, youth engagement experts, myself as sustainable development goals and intersection of peace activism. So we just have to have multi-level governments and multi-stakeholder engagement interaction. And there's no one size fit all solution right now. And that's how we have to move forward with it. So I hope that through activating these and through various other initiatives, we will be able to register the culture of peace cultivation in a better way. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nawal. I would request other participants to be a bit brief, like we have to conclude this session in about 10 minutes or less than 10 minutes. So thank you so much for Nawal for your very fruitful concluding remarks. Dr. Balakrishna, over to you, and if you can also say about the question that what role civil society and youth can play in South Asia. So thank you, and over to you. You can unmute. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Jawad. I agree with you. Nowadays, day by day, India and Pakistan, they are spending more and money for the armament. Now India surpassed China, and India surpassed Japan, and they are the fourth world richest country in the world. And day by day, they are spending the money. But as a democratic country, public campaign, public pressure, they have to agree for that. We build a public campaign, we go to the ministers, we go to the member of parliaments, and we ask them that they should use that money for so and so social work. And we are very helpful. We are successful in that. Suppose we want the medical colleges for the poor people. We want the education for the poor people. So we are going there, and I'm very happy. Public pressure is very much important in India. And for that, national priority for weapons. I know 25 years earlier, Mr. Zakir was a minister in the government of India. And he had given the idea like European Union of the South Asia Union. And we are requesting our government of India, our political leaders, why there should not be South Asia Union like EU. Then automatically our question will be solved. So to the youth and the political leaders, we are taking this issue, start the union, EU Union of South Asia Union in Asia region, and automatically the question, which are like Kashmir questions, so many questions in between India and Pakistan or other country, or Sri Lanka, other country. So it will be automatically be calmed down. So one minister, he said, this is a good idea. If there will be European like Union, like South Asia Union, like European Union, people can freely migrate to other states. They have the thing to do what they want to do, and we will not send the exorbitant money for the defense, for the armament. So we have taken this issue now. In the last 2-3 years, we have taken this issue. We think on the European Union, like European Union, South Asia Union, and I may be meeting with our foreign ministers, the Minister of External Affairs, and I will be discussing this issue with them. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Balakrishna. Over to you, Vidya.
Now you can see me. No, sorry that I was not seeing the button. It's very important. Again, I'm raising this matter. The South Asian, particularly because of India and Pakistan nuclear tension, we should get together. You know, when we play cricket, India, Pakistan, huge tension. When we Sri Lanka and Pakistan or Sri Lanka and India. So we divided when we play cricket, but we should be united when it's come to nuclear disarmament. You know, that's a must. It should be a family. Like, you know, now we have a neutral East Asian nation is clearly mentioned that, you know. So it's about humanity. You know, it's not about winning a war. Having a nuclear war mean end of our humanity. That's for sure. Not like Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Now We have hundreds of thousands of nuclear bombs within these 9 states. And particularly India and Pakistan, they are not party to the nuclear non-proliferation treaty, a must. As I mentioned earlier, France and UK, the party to the both, and also both countries party to the NPT and the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty in England, UK, and France, both are parties. So those two treaties are very important when it comes to nuclear disarmament in the region. I know that we all know that India and Pakistan, they will not gonna get rid of nuclear weapons right away. It's a long process, that is their power, they want to show the power. But still, we have a safer ground once they become a parties to those two UN conventions. Once they become a party to the CTBTO, then they follow the international standards that should be happen in the region. And I should have mentioned, I mentioned only the one person from Sri Lanka, Jaswira Manti. The second person, Ambassador Jayantha Dhanapala, he was one of the leading role within the UN nuclear disarmament. He chaired the 1995 NPT conference in New York and also extension conference. Those are two gurus from our country, when it's come to nuclear disarmament. So my last request, the youth, I remember when I was 18, 19, I joined the landmine campaign in 1996. So now I'm sort of a senior person now, we are recruiting youth now, mainly, young girls and young boys, girls taking the lead in Sri Lanka's disarmament campaign. Now we have, when it's come to autonomous weapon, we have a killer robots campaign, Yanitra Kumaraguru. When it's come to landmine, we had several. Now we have Nimaya Dahanayaka earlier, Nilasi Liyanage. So again, a nuclear campaign, we have girl Vikramasinghe. So youth going to be the future, and they should train. We as a senior advocates, senior researchers, senior policy, in that civil society expert, we should get more and more youth engagement, because our age now, at some point we're going to retire. So if we make a new generation, empower them to take the baton and run, not the government to make such decisions, that's my request on disarmament as well as a climate change issue. You should take the lead in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Vidya. Thank you. You still have energy. You look very young, energetic. So like youth. So thank you so much, Vidya. Over to you, Dr. Atif, and
Yeah, yes, I will.
in your reflection, you can answer the question which a participant put to you.
Yes, yes, thank you so much. Vidya, you are still young and your activity shows that you are younger than the youth. So do not underestimate yourself and do not discourage us. Age is just a number. So that's a lighter mood. So the one of the participants mentioned about the climate justice. Basically, I have mentioned already. We need to depart our attentions and our concentration from the theoretical patterns of the policy formulations, and we need to integrate them with the real politics of the world, where sensitizing the leaders is the actual method. So I appreciate again the Vidya's points. He mentioned that the role of the international community and the youth. I must say CTBT was an accurate example, but it failed to cultivate the desired outcomes. And TPNW is another one initiative, and I appreciate the civil society, the leaders of the civil society who sensitize the entire international community of the world's leader from the UN platform about the TPNW, the complete abolition of the nuclear weapon, total disarmament. That is the an ideal proposal. And what we need to do, we need to emphasize the emerging trends of the arms race, where if we see South Asia and the rest of the world as well, the race the arms race going towards the space. We need to monitor that. We need to take the timely measures. And on the other hand, the AI-driven weapon system, like Spato has done excellent work, and the number of words about the killer robots and the lethal autonomous weapon. So we need to engage more people in this debate, killer robots and stopping the lethal autonomous weapons. So I think, in short, I must say we need to emphasize on the emerging fields of the arms race, which are going to intensify the existing security environment. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Atik. Thank you so much. Over to you, Iza. There is also a question which Mr. Jawad has asked about what key initiatives are Malaysian youth taking for peace and climate action that youth in Pakistan and India could learn from and adapt for positive change. So if you can also respond to that and your final reflections.
Okay, thank you, Raza. Thank you so much. Okay, I think for this question, there are a lot actually initiative that has been done and has been conducted by the youth in Malaysia, but I will give some examples. For example, in Malaysia, you know that in Malaysia we have Chinese, Indian, and we have a Malay race. So we have a lot of interfaith and inter-religion, and we believe that by engaging interfaith, like we not only have Tamil, but we also have other Indians races in Malaysia as well. And I think by what are the one thing that I think you can try to youth in Indonesia in India that can learn is that we can try to engage in interfaith and interreligion engagement. And then other than that, like it's inter-ethnic harmony initiative. And then I think in Malaysia also we have Run for Peace. We make activity where we run for peace in initiating where we can communicate and engage with all senior and all professionals in every different fields like climate, military, and all. We discuss and we organize not only, but we initiate this by youth community. But then the guests, the one who will participate is all the seniors member who we can learn and we can try to apply and implement to the current policy. And by engaging with the senior higher ranking professional by like when we plan this kind of events, we can actually voice up our opinion to the higher ranking politicians, higher ranking professionals in crafting the policy. So we can voice out what do we want, because the future is, I'm not saying that it's not for the senior citizen, but the future is for the youth to actually live, because yeah, right. And we will face the consequences later. So I think it's important for the youth in India and Pakistan to engage with the higher senior ranking, so that you can try to adapt and what you can try to voice out to what to improve in the current policy. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Iza, and thank you so much, all distinguished panelists, for taking your time from different parts of the region. It was such a diverse group of speakers, academia, civil society, youth. So once again, thank you for taking your time. We have the last 10 minutes for our session, so I would request you just to remain for 10 minutes, and then we can hand over this session for the next session. Once again, thank you so much. I would request Michelle that if our youth from the west part in KP. If you look at the geography, so we have border with Iran, we have border with India, and then we have a long border with Afghanistan. And Afghanistan had remained in conflict for more than 45 years. 45 years of radicalization, 45 years of Cold War, Soviet Union, US, Russia. And now again, the internal conflicts. So when we talk about nuclear disarmament, when we talk about autonomous weapon system, conventional weapons, we should also think of these internal insurgencies, violent extremism, radicalization of youth. So we have been working along the area close to the border with Afghanistan, which is the KP province. So they have developed a short video, which I would request IPB if you can play that. It's like a short 4 to 5 minutes video. Otherwise, I can try it from here. There is no voice. Yeah, this is the video, but there is no voice in the video.
Yeah, sorry, just 1 second. I'll try again. Thank you.
چې په ولس باندې لقدر لغم راشي زما د زړه په دواړو سرو سترګو کې نم راشي سړي کې زه محسوسومه لکه بریښ د اسمان چې د وطن په نرۍ ملا کې چرته خم راشي مونږ نور جنگي شهیدان لیدل نه غواړو نور کونډې نور یتیمان لیدل نه غواړو امن وږمه د ګلاب جنگ د سور اور په شان دی قابونه ریبي نفاق لکه د لور په شان دی د محبت د خولې نه داسې آواز راخیږي خاوره د مور په شان وي وطن د کور په شان وي
مونږ امن غواړو مونږ امن غواړو
Thank you so much. This was, basically glimpses of the activities, as Eva also mentioned, is that we are trying to promote interfaith harmony, ethnic harmony in a very fragile region. So you have seen that how youth remained engaged in all these activities, and in the last, it was like a very famous Pashto poetry, in which the poet is saying that we ask for peace. We are fed up of wars and conflicts, and we ask for peace. So in the final concluding remarks, Ida asked me to just say 1 minute poetry in Malay. So please go ahead, and then I will ask Hiba to come and just conclude it. So Ida, over to you.
Okay, only 4 lines, 4 lines. Okay, this
Okay.
Malay language. Bunga melur harum mewangi, ditiup angin sepanjang hari. Terima kasih atas ruang ini, mari terus berjuang bersama harmoni. English translation for everyone, reference. Jasmine flowers sweetly bloom, carried by the gentle breeze. Thank you for this precious room. Let us strive for lasting peace. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Iza. It was great. So in my final 2 minutes, as Michelle has also explained that, to organize all these events, youth from Spedo, they played an instrumental role. We have this Youth for Peace network. It's called Spedo Youth Network. So I encourage you all to even join that network. So I am thankful to Hiba. I am thankful to Dawood, Hamad, all of our youth who contributed to the 2025 Peace Wave. So over to you, Hiba, to just say something like just in a minute to conclude this session. Hiba, are you there?
It seems her connection had dropped and she had lost her ability to unmute. We've given her that now, so hopefully she'll be able to say a few words. He or she, sorry, I don't mean to misgender.
Okay. So in case if she is unable to join, it's already 3 p.m. Hiba, so if you can quickly say something, it's already 3 p.m. So we have to hand over that to the next session. So over to you, Hiba. You are unmute. Can you unmute, Hiba? Hiba you are, yes, she is muted. You are muted. I don't know how to unmute you. I think the organizers can unmute.
We can only ask her to unmute, and when we do that, Hiba, you should have a notification pop up asking you to unmute. I'm clicking the button now and seeing if that works. Well, it seems she's dropped off the call. She may be trying to rejoin.
No worries. Yeah. So no worries. So let us conclude this session. So thank you once again, all participants, all speakers, all our youth who contributed to this session. So I would request all the participants to open your mics and just say like one word: no to war, yes to peace. And then we will hand over this to the organizer. Just we speak together. 1, 2, 3. No to war.
No to war, yes to
Yes
peace.
to peace.
Yes to peace.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Over to you. Over to you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, thank you to everyone who is with us. We are now just wrapping up part 5 of the Peace Wave in South Asia, and we'll shortly begin part 6. We're running just a couple minutes behind our schedule, but we are about to get started. Just before we do, you'll notice